Hello and welcome. Excuse the dodgy hairdo, but it's relevant for this video because I'm about to destroy it on camera. So if you've been following me recently, you'll have seen that I was doing a road trip to the Faroe Islands and back. And you'll have seen, hopefully, some of my videos of the Godmother of Pharmacology on tour. One of the things that I'd intended to do whilst I was on my road trip was to do a video around sleep apnea. Sleep apnea is something that can make travelling a little bit more problematic. It's not terrible, but you do have to consider a few things when you're travelling. But the hotel rooms just weren't a reasonable layout for me to do that. So what I thought I'd do now that I'm back in the UK is to do the video that I intended to do. So lots of people have sleep apnea, but there are lots more people that have sleep apnea and aren't aware of it. So sleep apnea is where the muscles of the neck relax and your airway gets temporarily blocked while you're asleep. If you've ever done first aid and you've done that sort of management of an unconscious casualty, and one of the first things you have to do when doing that is to do the head tilt chin lift so that you can actually pull the tongue away from blocking the airway. Essentially, this is what happens with sleep apnea. That relaxation while you're asleep can temporarily block the airway. So it's really important to have this diagnosed and managed if you do have it. So who's at risk of sleep apnea? Well, if you're overweight, if you have a thyroid condition like I do, I have an underactive thyroid. Some diabetics can have sleep apnea. If you've got damage to your neck, that can cause sleep apnea, or it can just happen without any known cause. And the way in which sleep apnea affects the body is that essentially what happens is your airway gets blocked whilst you're asleep. So you won't always be aware of this, but what happens is your brain stimulates the stress response to make you move so that your airway opens back up again. And this can happen many times an hour. Now, you don't always know that you're doing this. A partner might recognise an almost gasping sound and a lack of air and as you're asleep. Invariably, you'll have really severe snoring, but you can just have the gasps without the snoring. Before I was diagnosed, there was many nights where I was smothered by a pillow or pushed out of bed by my other half because my snoring was quite severe. And it was only when he saw a video of somebody with sleep apnea and the gasping that he realised that that was the problem. And at that point was when I went and got a diagnosis. So if you're being smothered by your other half, there is a good chance that you've got sleep apnea, and getting that sorted can prevent that sort of murder in the middle of the night scenario that you might have. So the main symptoms of sleep apnea, besides the gasping overnight, the sort of waking up in a panic, and sort of like severe snoring, is the fact that you basically just aren't getting restorative sleep. So you can be absolutely shattered. So there's a questionnaire that you can find online called an Epworth Sleepiness Scale, and I'll pop the link to that into the comments. And essentially that's a series of questions that asks you how likely you are to fall asleep in certain scenarios. It includes things like, if you sat at the traffic lights and the lights are on red, are you likely to fall asleep? If you're having a conversation with somebody, will you fall asleep? If you're sat not doing anything or reading, will you fall asleep? And you grade yourselves to all the time, sometimes, and never. And essentially, it comes up with a score, and if your score's above a certain level, you're advised to take the questionnaire to your GP and arrange for a sleep study. So I was finding that I was falling asleep at the traffic lights when they were on red. I would always be asleep watching the TV of an evening. It caused quite a lot of issues with my other half because he's like, you're always asleep. And I'd always assumed it was just because my thyroid function wasn't really good, and I was looking at different alternatives for my thyroid management. Do I need T3 instead of T4, which are the different types of hormones you can get on prescription? And it was just a real, I thought it was my thyroid that was a problem, whereas actually it was the sleep apnea. So if you have sleep apnea, it does increase your risk of certain health conditions. So having sleep apnea increases your risk of being overweight. Poor sleep and weight gain is really, really common. And of course, weight gain and sleep apnea are common. So you almost end up in a vicious cycle where the weight's causing the sleep apnea, but the sleep apnea is affecting the ability to lose weight. So you end up having this problem there. It also increases your risk of type 2 diabetes, and it also massively increases your risk of high blood pressure. So if you've got high blood pressure and you snore and you're not reacting very well to your medication, if it's not bringing your blood pressure down, then there is a real chance that you do actually have sleep apnea. So if you get a positive score on the Epworth Sleepy Scale and you snore and you've got high blood pressure or you're overweight, then it's really important to speak to your GP and ask for a sleep study. So essentially when they do a sleep study, what they do is they send you home with some kit, and what it does is it measures the decibels of your snoring, it listens for the breathlessness events, and it also checks your oxygen saturation. So from that, they can then decide how many times you're having a apnea event. Now, we all have apnea events where you block your airway, especially if you've had alcohol or things like that. And for a normal person, there might be 3, 4, 5 apnea events per hour. And that's quite normal because of the relaxation that occurs when you're asleep. If you've got obstructive sleep apnea, which is what I have, then you can literally have apnea events every minute. So if I remember rightly, my score was around 48 events an hour, which is quite high. I've seen higher. But when you get to that level, then that does mean that your sleep is significantly compromised and your ability to function on a daily basis is extremely compromised. Now, once you're diagnosed with obstructive sleep apnea, then that does impact your ability to drive a vehicle. So you do have to inform the DVLA that you've got sleep apnea. And as long as you're using your prescribed treatment, you are okay to drive. Should you not use your prescribed treatment and you have an accident in your car, then you are in real great danger of losing your license, being prosecuted, and not being insured. So I always use my sleep apnea equipment. I never go a night without it because I just feel so good when I use it. The first night's sleep with my equipment was revolutionary. I've never been so alert in the morning that I could remember for many years. So I have no qualms with using my sleep apnea equipment. And I do know that some people do have a fear about it. And if you Google sleep apnea, there's lots of talk about how noisy the equipment is, how much it disturbs the other partner. So a lot of people are afraid of going and getting diagnosed. And what I wanted to do with this video is I wanted to allay some of those fears and say, this has been the best thing that I've ever done for my health. And I would always recommend people not to be afraid and to try it. So what's it like traveling with it? Well, the first thing is it's quite compact. So this is the bag that it comes in. So it's smaller than an airline cabin bag. It's quite lightweight. If you're traveling on an airline, you just need to tell them because it's on top of your baggage allowance. They have to let you carry it. Always make sure it goes into the cabin with you rather than into the hold. If you fly EasyJet, it gets you free speedy boarding because it puts you in the special assistance category, which gets you on the plane before everyone else. But don't tell them I told you that. But it's not that cumbersome, is what I'm trying to say. It's quite a neat little unit. So this is my unit. This is a Philips ResMed, and that just sits on a little table at the side of my bed. It has a massive tube So I can toss and turn, I can change my sleep position. I've never got tangled in it. I've never had a problem. It's not the most sexy of bedtime attire, if I'm truly honest. And when I first got my CPAP machine, because when you put it on, you have like an airy quality to your speech if you try and talk. Ian, my husband, would always do the Darth Vader music, because he sort of said that I sounded like Darth Vader when I spoke. And I'm going to pop my mask on, and it is plugged in, so I'm going to let you see what it's like in a minute, and you can have a laugh at my Darth Vader impression. But you know, it's once you've got it on, and once you've got used to it, it's like nothing else. It's almost like having gas and air. You put it on, and I'm like asleep instantly. So even if I'm not tired, the minute I put my mask on, I'm out like a light. So if you struggle to get off to sleep, it's actually a really good thing. So you can get different masks. So this is the standard full face mask, which means it goes over your mouth and your nose. But if you feel a little bit claustrophobic with that, you can get nasal cannulas, and you can get like a little nasal mask. Now, those can be quite, because they're pushing all the air in through your nose, they can actually be quite painful and cause quite a lot of discomfort in the nasal area. So although they feel better from a claustrophobic perspective, they're actually a little bit more painful to use. But your sleep clinic, if you've been diagnosed with sleep apnea, will allow you to try these different ones to find the one that works for you. I'm quite happy with my sleep mask. It's never been a problem for me. If you do find it a little bit claustrophobic, then you can ask the GP to give you some medication to help with anxiety, to calm you down a little bit whilst you get used to it. And then once you're used to it, you can stop the medication and carry on quite normally. What I will say is, if you're struggling with your sleep equipment, if you're finding that it's a little bit too aggressive while you're asleep, drinking alcohol does increase the severity of your apnea and increase the severity of the machine's pressure. And taking supplements or things to help you to sleep, which will relax you more than normal, will increase the pressure. So if you're finding that the machine ramping up, which is when it pushes more air into the body, is waking you up, have a look at what you're doing that's maybe relaxing you a little bit more than is optimal. And you can also speak to your sleep clinic to get them to alter the settings so that it's not as aggressive while you get used to it. So all of that can help. So with your machine, you can see how many times you're actually breathless overnight. And my average now is about 1.5 times an hour, which is really good. You have to use it by law for a minimum of 4 hours every night, I believe. But I just put it on when I go to bed and leave it on, and it doesn't cause me any problems. The worst bit of it is when it first ramps up, when you first put it on. But you can get that made quite gentle by speaking to your sleep clinic if needs be. So I'm going to pop my machine on. So I'm going to take my glasses off, which will not be a pretty sight. And I'm going to put my Darth Vader mask on, and I'm going to let the machine kick in. And you'll hear, well, you won't hear because it's not very loud, just how quiet it is. And then I'll do my bestest Darth Vader impression, and you can have a laugh at that. But it really isn't that much of a problem. So that's it kicked in. I'm assuming that you can't hear anything because there is nothing here. This is how quiet it is. And I'll do my bestest Darth Vader impression. Luke, I am your father. Switch it off and take it off so you can hear me properly. So, hopefully what you heard there is just how quiet the machine was. It was working. It was moving air. And for all those people that say that they know people that have got a machine and that it's disturbing their other half, I can assure you that that is less disturbing than having somebody snoring down your ear. You really cannot hear it. older machines were a lot more problematic. So some of the comments that you see on the internet are based on the much older machines. Do not let fear of a noisy machine put you off getting treatment for this, because the difference to your health and well-being is phenomenal. Yes, it might take you a little while to get used to the equipment, but once you're used to it, you won't look back. It's not that big a deal to take it to places with you. It always comes with me. I'm off to Dublin in a couple of weeks to speak at a conference, and it will come with me on the plane, no problem. It just looks like a briefcase. Nobody knows what it is. I have no qualms about traveling with it. But what's really important for me when I did my road trip was I needed to make sure that there was absolutely no way the insurance company could wheedle out of a claim should anything have happened to me with my car on my holiday. So I never don't use it. It really just isn't worth the risk. So if you have got any symptoms of sleep apnea, if you're worried that this is you, I really do encourage you to fill out the Epworth Sleepy Scale, take that to your GP, get a statement off your other half about how loud your snoring is and how problematic it is, and request a sleep study. If you do find that you've been diagnosed with obstructive sleep apnea, you've got that high number of apnea events during the night, then please do try the CPAP machine. If you're having problems with it, do persevere. Speak to your sleep team. That's what they're there for. There's lots of tips and tricks. There's lots of settings they can play about within the machine. There are different types of machines that you can try. You can have some medication to make you relax so that you can try it. It really is about persevering and not giving up. I was super lucky in that I took to it like a duck to water, but I do know people that struggle. But I know that people have got past that struggle with perseverance and support. So I do highly recommend that you do get it checked. If you have been diagnosed with obstructive sleep apnea and you're not using your CPAP, then please do, think about the things that I've said in this video. Get back in touch with your sleep team. And remember that if you do have a crash in your car, you're in trouble. So it is really important that you do try and find some way to sort it out. So I hope you found this video useful. Please do like and comment. If you've got any questions, if I can help you in any way, then please do pop them in the comments below. Do make sure you subscribe to my channel. It really does help me to get my messages out there and to bring some health related content to you. And hopefully I'll see you in another video alongside Deja Vu, who's decided to talk to you down on the floor if you can hear her. So I hope you've enjoyed that video, and I'll see you next time.